Hello, and welcome back to the Unraveling podcast. Today we have Jamie, and we also have a special guest for you. We have Melissa. Her Instagram handle is Ellabrooksblog. So if you've followed her before, here
Uh-huh.
she is. We've actually followed you. We used to have, Jamie and I had a clothing company like
Are you serious?
8 years ago, like a little
Probably, yeah.
boutique.
Okay.
And we followed you on there. So
Yeah.
it was just so funny
So this was
to
when you
have you.
guys were out of Southern California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you
Mhm.
ever reach out to me?
I
Jamie,
don't
did you?
know.
I'm
You
glad
might
Maybe
have,
we
you
Jamie.
did.
didn't because there's like it's so like I actually that's obvious that's how I started was working with like smaller boutiques.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But it gets to a point where it's really hard. I mean, once you start, like it's hard. The best way to say it is it's easy to miss a lot. A lot of people
Mm.
contact you. There's a
Oh,
lot of
I'm
DMs.
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, I
And
bet. Yeah.
you just logistically you can't work with everyone. So I'm so
Yeah.
happy that you guys didn't reach out and I didn't.
No, we
Like,
didn't have a bad
No.
experience with you.
Okay,
No.
okay, good.
It didn't last long either, our boutique. So,
What was
Yeah.
it called?
but it was called Salty.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
was it a hat company?
No.
No.
Okay, never
We
mind.
just just close. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was
We
probably
actually we did have a couple hats, but not too many.
Okay.
yeah.
But do you prefer to go by Melissa or do you have an
Mel. Well, people that know
Okay.
me well call me Mel. Otherwise, Melissa's
Okay.
fine. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
But just
Yeah,
not
you
because I get called that every
Oh,
day
I'm
still because I
sure.
decided.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did that. I did that originally, and everybody's like, "Are you going to change your blog?" I'm like, "No, it is what it is
can't now.
That's what I'm
Yep,
called."
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
nice. Well, you are an influencer.
I am.
Is that what do you like to be called an influencer?
I mean,
Is that
yeah. In the very beginning, it was, I didn't really like the term. But at the end of the day, I guess that's what
it
we
is
are.
what it is? Yeah.
Yeah. And with saying that, obviously, I think that I take that term. I shouldn't say more seriously than other people because there's really so many different niches, but I've taken it more personally. I've taken it more seriously, understanding that I am
Mm,
an influencer. More since 2020 and things kind of
yeah.
took a turn. So
Yeah.
I'm an
Yeah,
influencer.
because primarily before 2020, would you say you were more like just the fashion side?
Yeah. So, yes, I started out by actually the boutique. So my kids, I started out by doing stuff in exchange with boutiques where I would just, share their products, and then I'd get their I'd share it and then share like the photography side. And I kind of just grew from like a
Mm,
family side. And then I went into fashion, beauty, kind of like the whole lifestyle thing. And
okay.
I didn't know anything about politics. So I didn't
Mm-hmm.
touch anything. I shared my faith. I will say, anybody that's kind of followed me from the beginning will say that I've probably been more vulnerable, more open than the average, I should say, lifestyle influencer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what category I fall into because I share so many different things. But yes,
Yeah.
I would say I did share more. You're correct. I did share more fashion and stuff before, and now I've kind of opened it up to a plethora of things, so including politics,
Mhm.
I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, you influenced us. Alyssa bought us both the
Oh,
You
watches.
posted these. It's so funny
Awesome.
because Jamie's all about counting steps. She's always done the 10K steps.
Yeah.
And I want to do it. I am like never moving, I swear. And so I was like, I want one that's not Bluetooth, but I couldn't ever find one.
Mhm.
And then you posted
Yeah.
it and I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. It's so
It's
cute.
kind of
And
like
it's
gone
Amazon.
viral. So I'm
Is
happy that
it?
they like it. No EMFs.
No,
Let's
it's
go.
I
amazing.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
And it just keeps
it's like,
motivating me to get up. I'm like, I got to get
right.
past 10K now. So
I
it's
know.
I
great.
know.
I
And
know.
I just
I
didn't
actually don't
want
have mine
the.
on today. Thanks for reminding me.
Oh. Jamie's like all about it. She's always sending me her steps, and I'm like, I got to catch up. Like, I'm behind.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes you feel more like productive, right?
It
Mhm,
really, really
definitely.
does. Yeah.
Turn this up a little bit.
But
Well,
go ahead, Jamie.
oh, I was just going to move into politics. We wanted to
Go for
talk a little bit about politics, which, to be honest, I'm not super into politics either.
Yeah.
So I feel like seeing your posts, me and Alyssa, I think Alyssa probably would say she's a little more politically,
I grew
maybe
up
not so much
with.
anymore.
Okay.
Well, I kind of have turned back into it. My dad, I remember like in high school, would make me sit down and like watch the news with him multiple times a week. We
Yeah.
always watched Glenn Beck. That was who it was. And
Yeah.
and so it was like I hated it at that time. Like I don't care. I don't want to know. And he'd make me like answer questions. He like really had me involved. And
Grilled
so
you on it,
I
huh?
like really just was like, no, I don't like care about that at all. And my husband didn't grow up that way. but then it's like ever since 2020, I feel like I'm very into all of it. So I keep up with it for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say so. It's so funny because in 2020, so I didn't grow up learning about politics at all. In fact, I don't know if you guys
Okay.
know this about my story, but I actually grew up in Fiji. My parents were
Oh, wow.
Oh,
missionaries. We were missionaries.
okay.
So I grew up like all my childhood there. And
Wow.
politics was like not a thing. I mean, it's not as safe now, but it was super safe back then. So I mean, like we were living the life. Like I had a great childhood. Everything was great. I didn't know anything about politics. Truly, I didn't know anything about politics until 2020 happened. And
Mm,
I remember I kind of, again, I don't know how much you guys have kind of like seen my story and whatnot, but like I kind of went through a phase where I was like, oh, well, all the Christians are like super conservative. I think it's kind of cool to like play the line and be like a little like liberal. So
mm,
Uh,
I will say like 2000, but again, I'm just watching the news, believing what I'm believing, right? So like when 2020 hit, like I was
mm,
like, oh my god, like I was the girl that was like, we need masks for everyone. My friends and I, we
mm.
literally had like a campaign to make sure that everybody had masks. Um, I mean, I went full out. I didn't get vaccinated. I woke up
Mm,
about 6 months later, like in between 2000 like halfway into 2020, I kind of woke up to everything. But in the very beginning,
mm,
I was just like, oh my gosh, believing everything, scared to death, COVID, blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
Um, and so then, as you guys remember, that summer was the BLM Black Lives Matter it was kind of like all the same
mhm,
timing, right? And I was like hardcore, you guys. I was like sold out. I was like BLM
mm,
everything, Black Square, like lost ton of followers. Like, I
nah,
mean, my husband and I, and like this is kind of like where, I don't know if we're gonna go and dive into this a little bit, but this is kind of like where my story kind of picks up because so my husband's dad is actually the was the pastor of the church that we were at in Sacramento, which was like the first mega church there.
Mm,
mm.
And it was
Oh, wow.
actually his grandpa that started it, or ran it, and then it was passed down to his dad. And I say that to say they took a very liberal approach to 2020. And that's
Okay.
kind of where I was all bought in, sold out. Like my
mhm,
father-in-law was like that. My husband, I mean, we all were for a long time. And then I started to like kind of see through things a little bit. And I was like,
Mm,
hold up. And this is where things got a little tricky because my husband wasn't on board. And
mhm.
so
yeah,
that
that's hard.
2020 to 2021 was probably like the hardest years of our marriage. Now we've overcome so much. And I mean, we could talk about how, he's come around and like
Mm,
seen a lot. But and then you have my in-laws that are that tricky story. So I had so many conversations with my in-laws, and then we ended up leaving my father-in-law's church.
Oh, okay.
oof, that's
I mean,
difficult.
Mhm.
Yeah.
it was messy for a couple years. And it actually was one of the reasons that why we ended up moving. We needed a fresh start
Mm,
Oh,
for our
okay.
family, for just everything.
Yeah.
makes sense.
So yeah, so again, I didn't know anything about politics, but when the news reeled me into 2000 to BLM, and then my eyes were opened to the truth behind all that, I
Mhm.
was like, "I will
Mhm,
never be fooled again." And when I tell you
Yeah.
I've
mhm,
gone through a journey the past 5 years, I mean, I'm still
mm,
or 6 years,
yeah.
I'm still learning. I'm still
Mhm,
my mind on things. I'm still, realizing that, like, I was duped on that, or I
mhm.
Yeah.
meant well, but I was actually off and I had no idea. And I think so much of this comes back to, like, coming into this, I was like, if I'm gonna talk about my father-in-law, I one of the things that has been like that I can say is that he is such a good person. Like, and he meant
Mm,
well at the time. Uh,
Mhm,
and he had really good intentions. And I think that's kind of been one of like my eye-opening things on so much of this is there's like there's so many well-intended, well-meaning people that just
mhm,
have the right information. And they are
mhm,
mhm,
going off of what we're told from the news that they're watching, the feeds that they're watching, the people that they're watching.
mhm.
And so a lot of these people actually mean well, but they're off. And so it's
mhm,
been a long journey of me discovering that and understanding that. And like I said, still changing my mind. And that's what's actually interesting and following you guys with, the main basis of your guys' podcast is like a whole other rabbit hole, right? Is like
yep.
I think I found you guys through, is it JT? I think you guys had him on.
Oh,
Mm,
I
mhm.
think I
yeah.
found you through him because he was the first one that I was like, whoa, like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
whoa,
Mhm.
like this is like blowing my mind. Like if this is a possibility
Yeah.
because I was, grew up Protestant and dispensationalism
Same.
and like
Yep.
all of that.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
anyways, that's a whole other rabbit hole. But that's kind of my journey into politics, I guess you could say, into 2020. But I will say this, I kind of joke about this, but I always say like I'm not really into politics anymore, only because politics is a facade. I've truly
Mhm.
Yeah.
have
Mhm.
grown to learn that, and so it's not
Yeah.
politics that I want to talk about. It's the truth of how politics is shown to us,
Yep.
but it's deception. It's not the truth of actually how things
Mhm.
run,
Mhm.
how things work. It's all
Yep.
to the side, and I know you guys know all this, but so
Mhm.
it's not politics. It's just the truth that I'm searching for these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think once your eyes open to that, honestly, for me, like I grew up, my parents are very conservative. So it's not like I'm not aware of politics or anything. I just personally, I think for a long time, probably for the past 10 years since I've been married, I've seen like my eyes have been open to all the conspiracies, all the things. And I've seen how both sides are it's just crap, really. It's just to put us against each other.
Oh, yeah.
And so for me, it's like now every time I see something politically happening, I don't feel like I'm affected by it. I can just see that it's a good versus evil, not even like, right versus left, not that, but there's literally a spiritual war happening. And it honestly, it's given me so much peace because I'm not affected on the
Mhm.
emotional level. Like you're
Mhm.
talking about BLM. Like I feel like
Yeah.
when that all happened, I didn't like it was hard because, obviously I have friends who do see that side and I didn't want to be offensive, but for me I felt as though it was all fake and it all was propaganda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for me it was like I was already emotionally removed, but
Yeah.
then I have people who are so emotionally invested and so to navigate that was really difficult.
Yeah, man, I can
So,
tell you if I could say the one thing that has really helped me grow has been exactly what you just said. When you learn that so much of it is to charge our emotions and to get us
mhm,
emotionally invested. And when you're able to detach from that and you're not like the next, because there's going to be a next news headline, right? You know they're
mhm,
getting something planned. And once you're able to emotionally detach and understand that there's an agenda behind it and they're not really telling us the truth, it's like, it's so
mhm,
freeing. Like you said, there's
Mhm.
more to the story. And so, I mean, even if we wanna go down the route of, like, Charlie Kirk, like,
mhm,
it I just know that there's so much more to everything that we're
mhm,
told. Um, I am surrounded by, a lot of people that were affected by it that maybe we don't this stuff is so layered to talk about,
It
yeah,
really
for
is.
sure.
so layered, but and I, when I talk with them, I understand a lot of why their emotions are involved, but again, it's like
Mhm,
once you can understand that, like you said, there's more truth that we haven't been told.
yeah.
There's a deception there. So it's like, oh, just I'm not willing to give my peace in exchange for something that I know that I'm not being told the full truth on.
Mhm,
Mhm.
for
That's
sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure did you see that interview? Jamie had sent it to me with Joe Kent, who is, I don't know, somewhere high up in the government. He was just saying with the Charlie Kirk stuff, like he wasn't even like they literally said you have to stop questioning. You have to stop searching and like trying to figure this out. And so it's like we all know that. We all know that whatever they're
Mhm,
telling us is fake, but it's interesting
mhm.
to see it coming out like he's literally saying this. He's talking to Tucker Carlson about it. So
Yeah.
it's just
Which to be fair,
interesting.
I'm like the type of person, like I even listen to him speaking.
No,
I'm
I
like,
don't
you're
like
so deep.
100% trust him, but
Yeah, it's like you were deep in the CIA and Tucker Carlson too, where it's like I have to go through
Again.
all these things.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's like,
gosh,
oh
like I
my
said,
gosh.
you guys, the layers are and when
so
you talk to
much.
someone, you're like, "Okay, where are they at? Like, do they
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
like,
Mhm.
how are they gonna respond to this?" But, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
back to what you said, Alyssa, yes, like, I take everything with a grain of salt. Like, yeah, he was in
Mhm.
Mhm.
the CIA, Tucker Carlson's dad is like I mean, you guys, this stuff is so layered and
Mhm.
involved,
It
and I
is.
know it's about, they plug in their families and, it's the
Yeah.
bloodline stuff, and none of it is a coincidence. So take
I
everything with a grain
know.
of salt is kind of how I see
Yeah.
it. And I
Mhm.
guess the best way that I've looked at it recently is exactly what you said. It's all spiritual. So rather than
Mhm.
looking
Mhm.
at it from a political perspective, let's look at it from a spiritual perspective because at the end of the day,
Mhm.
Mhm.
that's what matters, right? It's
Mhm.
Mhm.
understanding where we're being deceived spiritually, what the play is, and
Mhm.
that matters most.
Mhm.
Yep. for sure.
Can
Which is what I
I
loved. Oh, no,
Oh,
go for it, Alyssa.
I was gonna ask, can I ask, what do you think about the little season? And, like, that as who told you, what are your
Yeah,
thoughts?
it's funny.
We will not be offended if you don't agree.
Yeah.
No, it's funny. I was like, they're probably gonna ask that because, of course, that's like their
That's
podcast.
what we talk about.
Um, it's I think I will say more to the fact that I don't know. So the little season is very intriguing to me. I could
Mhm,
definitely seen it be a huge possibility. I'm not like, this is it. This is like
Mhm.
for sure. This is what it is.
mhm.
I think I lean somewhere in between as of right now. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
It's always changing.
watching,
Yep.
rethinking, praying, all that.
Mhm,
Um, somewhere in between that and like a preterist view of I
mhm,
do think something has happened. I do think that there's
Mm.
at least part of revelations that has taken place. To what extent, I don't know.
mhm.
Yeah.
I have a friend that, has given me a book to read. I can't shoot if I remember the name of it, I'd tell you, but it's more from like a preterist view, which I know kind of like goes
Mhm.
into right. It's like
A little bit, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
same.
Mhm,
Mhm.
But there's a lot of evidence that makes sense to what
mhm,
you guys
Mhm.
are, there's a lot. And but with that
Mhm.
said, I will say I'm more convinced that what I grew up to believe isn't the truth as far as the rapture. And
Mm.
there's just
mhm,
so
Mhm.
much fear. And when you look at like the history of
mhm.
like when that theology was evolved, how it came
Mhm.
about, yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. And my mom, I was raised in Christian. In fact, I told you guys I was a missionary's kid. So my dad's pastor and my husband's dad's a pastor. So we all come from, these
Yeah.
families
Mm.
who are born, I mean, Protestants. Like both my parents, I don't know if you guys know the Assemblies of God. My dad is a pastor with them, and then my husband's dad was a pastor with them. So,
Okay.
deep in the evangelical Protestant
Yeah.
Yeah.
world. And again, I have like they mean well,
Mhm.
and I believed that. I question a lot of it now.
Yeah.
And I
Mhm,
think because when you learn how much we've been lied to, on many levels, you just kind of start to question everything. And I'll be completely honest. There was a time in my journey, the past 5 to 6 years, that I even questioned like Jesus, like
mhm,
Mm.
because I got to the point that I started to think, has everything that I've been, because I know so much of what we've been taught is a lie,
mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
is what I believe real because it's real, or is what
Mhm.
I believe real because I was born in a
Taught
family
it.
that taught me that it was real?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but I want to follow up with saying that I haven't experienced the Lord in my life to be real like I have in the past 6 years.
Mm.
I've experienced him. I know he's real because I've experienced him in a way that I had never experienced him
Yeah.
before. And so people can throw at me, well, this is fake and this was made up and this, but I have experienced him in a way um that I just can't deny. Um
Mhm,
Not
Mm.
to even go into like the factual side of things,
mhm,
but I say that to say, because I don't know if you guys know this, but I feel like a lot of people in the truth community, or that have kind of gone down rabbit holes the past 6 years, I find that a lot of them have actually ended up more in like the new age, or
Mhm.
like,
yeah. Mhm,
just more out there views, like dabbling into different things that are more new age.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I've kind of been finding, it's like your algorithm kind of finds things that you've like clicked on and whatnot. Like I've been finding all these people that are coming back from it and being like, man, like
Mm.
I was searching for something that like wasn't, and I found it like temporarily, right? Because that's what I've learned about the new age is everything.
Mhm.
There is certain healing, there is certain, but it's all temporary. It's all
Yeah.
something that the occult, the counterfeit will give you, um, to hook you, but it's never an everlasting peace. It's always a
Mm.
Right.
constant search. And
Yeah,
and
so
I've
Mhm,
good. Mhm.
found so many of these people that are coming back and being like, "Oh my gosh, like I saw Jesus, doing all these like
Mhm.
ceremonies or all these different like amazing ways that the Lord is revealing himself to these people." Um,
Mhm.
but to bring it back around, I went down that route and it's so crazy to even now know where I'm at, to be like, "Man, I can't believe that it led me there."
Yeah.
mhm,
But it's just because I had learned that we have been lied to about so much that I
Mhm.
wanted to know that what I knew was true, was true, was true, because I felt like we've been
yeah.
duped on so many levels.
Mhm,
Um,
yeah.
and so, yeah. It's been a long journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
that's something we've talked about that before too, just like because there's this, I feel like there's a trend of deconstructing your faith, but Alyssa and I feel like we both have kind of done that in a sense, but we've talked about several times that it's like you can't deconstruct it unless you're reconstructing it with God's word. Because I think that's the problem is it's like we're looking to all these other things and reels that will give us information and try to like fit pieces together. But it's like the only thing that is going to build your faith is God's word alone. So,
absolutely.
because I kind of found myself in that situation too when 2020 hit and, growing up a rapture kind of
We were
family, I was
waiting.
like, it's coming. And then when it all of a sudden life kind of went back to normal. And then I was learning about these buildings. This is where I kind of came into the little season stuff. And it was just like I told Alyssa before, there was this whole period of time that wasn't fitting in biblically to me for a long time and like history. And I'm just like, okay, Lord, if everything's about you, but there's this period in history that doesn't make sense according to your word at all,
Mhm.
it was starting to make me question, like, okay, is everything that I believe not? If it can't make sense, then maybe it's not real. And like, I never
Mhm.
lost faith. I wouldn't say that, but
Yeah.
for a while, I kind of just got like stagnant where I was just like, okay, like I can't figure these things out. And I was kind of frustrated. And I feel like I just wasn't really walking with the Lord
Yeah.
like I am today. And when the
Mhm.
puzzle pieces started fitting together, and I'll say too, like, I do believe we're in the little season, but I am open to like Alyssa and I've looked into what is it? Alyssa,
Oh yeah,
millennialism.
post-millennial. Mhm.
So
Have
I'm
you
not
looked
like
into that?
opposed.
What's that?
Melissa, have you looked into post-millennial
I
view?
What's a snippet of the post?
So that's like you
Uh
believe you're living in the millennial reign.
So that's exactly what I was saying, that I think that
Okay.
I dabble between the two.
okay.
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 Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I'll have to give you guys the book that
Okay.
that
I
my
know a
friend.
lot of people think that too. Yeah.
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 And I'm not opposed to it because that's
Mhm.
the thing, like you're saying, like there's so many things that don't add up and make sense that now that I'm okay with the fact that this whole idea of the rapture that I grew up thinking for sure was happening. Now that I've let go of that, it's like, okay, there might be other things out there too.
Mhm.
This is just what makes the most sense, like evidence wise, where I feel like we fit in. But I'm definitely open to that. But I feel like that's the thing is like me and Alyssa have really worked hard the like past 2 years of keeping each other accountable to go into God's word and like
Mhm.
just basing our beliefs off of God's word alone.
Right.
And
Mhm.
that's what's so sad though, is we have social media now where it's like when you start to question things, you get in these algorithms that are just going to tell you what you want to hear and make you
Yeah.
feel good. And
Yeah.
when we're replacing that with like reading his word, it can get really dangerous. And
Yeah.
I've been there
Yeah.
before too.
Yeah.
So
No, you're right for sure. That's You can find a case for anything these days. There's someone.
You
mhm.
really can.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
feel like the
Yep.
biggest thing to me is just like when I read through the New Testament and I see the words that the apostle said and Jesus said, I can't see anything else. I'm like, he had to have came back to them. Like that's to me the most obvious thing. But like as far as where we are now, it's like I don't know. Like I can't say
Mhm.
100% the little season. It's just what
Mhm.
feels the most like it makes the
Yeah.
most
Well, and it's
sense in my
interesting
head.
too because you guys are saying the post millennial, like, something that I think would kind of tie to that is I believe that we have so much more power in the Lord than I
Mm,
the Western church is dumbed down in a lot of
mm.
Mhm.
ways.
Yeah.
And when you compare it to, um, other countries that operate very differently, I
Mhm.
don't want to say like the Christian world, but spiritual world, I mean, on both sides, right? Like they
Mhm.
see a lot more in both route, like good and evil.
Yeah, we were
I
just
feel
talking about
like
that. Yeah.
it's kind of a
Mhm.
lullaby here in the United States.
Mhm.
Everything's kind of like it's just lull. It's very like
Yeah.
Yep.
it's and I
Enough to make you feel good, and
yeah, and I
that's about
actually feel like that's the deception that the Western
Yeah.
church has had.
Yeah.
And so with that
Yeah.
said, I feel like we have way more authority in the Lord and way more there that
Mhm.
I think we're hungry for it and a lot of us can sense it. And
Mhm.
so that's kind of I've been, you know, I can't think of any like specific accounts, but that's just been something that I've been diving into lately. And I just I kind of feel like that kind of might go into like the post millennial thing only because it's
Mm.
showing that we actually like the kingdom of God like is within us. Like it is
Mm.
it's
Mhm.
here. Like we are um I don't know how else to say it except that there's so much
Yeah.
more that I don't think that we've experienced or that
Yeah,
maybe that I don't know that we're not aware of. But um yeah, that's just
that
something
makes
we
sense.
can dive in. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
hmm
I think
I know.
so. Yeah.
There's so many different views. It's just funny because, and it's probably the same for you, when you grow up dispensationalist, you think there's one view of the way the Bible is
Mhm.
viewed as far
Yeah.
as like eschatology. And then you come and you kind of realize, like, oh my gosh, there's preterism and there's postmillennial and there's little season, although that's technically not even like really a view, I guess. But
Yeah.
there's so
Becoming
many
more
different ways.
popular. It's becoming
It
more
is.
Mhm.
popular, though.
It is,
Yeah.
but
And
just
man, this is
interesting.
a subject that is really sensitive in the church, as I'm sure you guys have
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
noticed.
Yeah.
I mean, do you guys get I'm sure you guys hear it all, but yeah,
Oh, we
Yeah.
hear it
yeah,
all.
it all. I
Mhm.
know, and it's very sensitive, and I
The
think
nap.
it's because, especially in the time that we're in right now, if people can cling on to that hope, in a
Mhm.
sense, they may think that
Yeah.
taking that hope away. And
Yeah, that's what we get a
1000%.
lot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
it's like, man, guys, but with that said, oh, there's so much that I feel like, the war is going on right now. I mean, I know people that are like excited that they're seeing stuff
Ugh,
unfold right now
Mhm.
I
because
know.
and I'm just like, how twisted is
It's
this? Like,
so
Mhm.
backwards, yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so twisted. And
Mhm.
and it takes a lot really for again, I say this over and over again because they mean well, because this is what they were
Mhm.
taught. And like
Yeah.
Yeah.
everybody's hurting so bad right now. So whatever hope they can grab onto, um, they're going to. So if you take that away from them, it's like their last resort.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So my mom and I have these conversations all the time, and she's
I
actually
was gonna ask how your family
yeah.
views what you
So
think now.
my mom is very open-minded. We go I will talk to her about conspiracies all the time. She knows where my view is. My views are on, everything that I don't believe in the
Mhm.
sides. I'm not a fan of Trump, like all that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and she'll listen to me. She's very open-minded, but this subject is, I think, hard for her. And I think part of it, you guys, is that people won't even explore other things.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes.
they just won't
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
it's what they've been taught is true. And it's
Mhm.
how open-minded are you to even be willing to listen to an alternative,
Mhm.
Mhm.
theory?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you don't have to believe it, but
Right.
to
To
me,
just
that
listen.
actually shows emotional maturity because you're able to listen to something that you may not agree with, but doesn't that either affirm what you believe or
Mhm.
Exactly.
potentially question what you believe? Could
Mhm.
change your
Yep.
views, right? It's going to do one or
Yeah.
the other. But if
Mhm.
we're not even open-minded to hearing it, I don't know. To me, that's just a little bit more. I see it as more of a closed-minded mindset. So,
Mhm.
Mhm.
which
Yeah, that's
didn't.
why
Yeah, go ahead.
oh, no, sorry. I was just gonna say, like, you're saying I it's so hard because it's like part of me is like, if you're not willing to hear it and you're getting so upset, it, like, kind of makes me upset. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like you said, that's their hope and they do have good intentions, like my own parents.
Mhm.
They are definitely dispensationalists, but they they have, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, fruit of the spirit. Like, they reflect
Yeah.
that, and it's like so
Mhm.
I
Right.
think that's the problem in the truther community. We've also talked about this, is it's very much like, if you don't see it how I see it, you're not a Christian. And it's
Yeah.
like, I can see from my own family, my parents produce fruit. They're the most generous people I've ever met. They're kind, they're prayerful,
Yep.
but they are so unwilling to, like, they think this is nuts.
Mhm.
But does that take away from all their fruits of the spirit and actually loving Christ and being in his word? No. But is it frustrating to be like, if you're so sure of the dispensationalist view, why can't you just hear me out? But
Yeah.
so
So
it's that, like, balance.
yeah. So
Yeah.
this is where I have just learned that, like, the Lord, He has to be so much more gracious than we can even
Mhm.
fathom, right? And I mean, we know that from reading the Word and how He met people and dealt with people and talked to people, and we know that. But
Mhm.
especially in the days that we're in, I'm like, I always go back to I have to go back to what people's intentions are. Otherwise, like you said, it can harden your heart. And I know, like, when you reached out, one of your things was you were like, Alyssa, or I don't know which one of you reached out, but it was on the reel that I was talking about,
Mhm.
how
That
we
was me.
can, like, harden our hearts
Yeah.
so easily because someone doesn't believe, and this is in, this is in the Christian world where we're supposed to be
Yeah.
like you said, fruit of the spirits. But
Gracious.
there's so
Mhm.
many different, I feel like, sides now in the Christian world and the truther world. And it's like, if you don't believe, like what you
Yeah.
said, if you don't believe what I
Mhm.
believe, then they actually become, then this is what happened to me. I started to have a hardened heart and I didn't even realize it. And
Mhm.
I thought I was so right. And I mean, I would meet with my father-in-law and I would be like, you are wrong. And, Trump is going to do this. And I mean,
Mhm.
I was just like, oh, and now I
Mm.
look back and I'm like, I was actually wrong about what I was saying. Come to find out. B, I was like so arrogant and prideful,
Mm.
and I'm
Mhm.
like, gosh, like, thank you, Lord, for like waking me up and showing me that we have to have grace for people. Like, it's all about
Mhm.
their heart and their
Yep.
intentions. And like, we're not
Mhm.
Yep.
going to get them by yelling at them. We're not.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. I've
No.
done it.
Mhm.
Um, so that's a whole other can of worms. But
Yeah.
man, the Lord has
Yeah.
really transformed my heart the past, I'd say, 2 to 3 years, ever since we moved here. So we moved to Tennessee like 3 years ago, and,
Mm.
yeah, it's kind of funny, it's kind of ironic because, I moved from more liberal California and thinking that I'm going to a more, like, conservative place and,
Mhm.
everything's gonna be great here, and it is. The people are so friendly, I love everybody here, but,
Mhm.
it's funny how, like, I moved to a more religious place, and now there's, like, the religious people kind of bother me a little
Mm. Mhm.
bit.
It's true because
Does that make sense?
it's
Like,
yeah, because like, I live in Texas,
yeah,
so it's, like, the same. It's different. It's, like I
yeah.
don't know yeah, it's, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's, like
And they, again, they mean well. I
yeah.
love religious people. I go to church. I guess I'm
Mhm.
religious. I'm a Christian, but I mean, like, there is an arrogance that I have noticed that
Yeah.
is just really, like, aching. It's like it's I don't know. It's just been something that's been on my heart that I'm like,
Mm.
the Lord has woken me up to see that there is their eyes are a lot of people's eyes are blinded to
Yeah.
in the
There's like the religious
in the
spirit.
faith, yeah, in the
Mhm.
real and
Mhm.
it's actually keeping people away. It's like they've
Mhm.
drawn a line in the sand without even realizing it, and,
Yeah.
just extending a hand. And how you do that, it's just there's so much nuance and conversation around that. But with the type of arrogance and pridefulness that I am seeing, I'm like, that is hardcore drawing a line in the sand.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So, um, yeah, and that's been so freeing for me too, honestly. Like, I'm more joyful and I'm like, I look back and I'm like, I actually was more like, when I talk to my husband, he's like, you were actually more scared back in the day. Like, when you believed like
Mm.
Trump was going to come save us, like, you were more fearful and like
Mhm.
it's all you could think about. And, when I was like ultra Republican conservative, I guess you
Mhm.
could say, like, more as far as politically sane. Um,
Yeah.
and he's like, and now that I'm, I wouldn't consider I mean, I have more, uh, of course, I believe like abortion is wrong, and some of
More
those
conservative
things,
views.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I would say that I now like I've zoomed out and I now see like the error on both sides, right? And it's kind of like
Mhm.
giving
Mhm.
grace for both sides, being like, okay,
Mhm.
you mean well because you were taught this or you believe this, and you actually have a good heart
Mhm.
about it. Okay, you mean well because you actually, same thing on both sides, but these
Yeah.
sides are like, oh, I hate,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like this nonstop,
Mhm.
and I'm up here going, "No, you're fine, you're friends, like, you don't know
Yeah.
a thing."
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh my
Yep. And
gosh,
I
it's
mean, that's really the whole purpose of politics is to
yeah,
keep, I mean, they have more power when we're against each other. So it's like,
yeah,
that's
I know.
exactly
I
what
feel
they
like
want.
Jamie and I have been talking about that a lot. Like, we used to be so conservative, and now I think we both feel like we fall more in the middle. Like, okay, I see what you mean there. I see what you mean
Mhm.
there.
yeah.
But it's like,
And if we're
it's just
gonna
interesting.
let's even go down the liberal side for a second, okay? Like, you and I, or the 3 of us probably don't agree with them on some subjects, right? We know we don't.
Mhm.
Mhm.
However, if they were raised the way that they were raised, taught what they were taught, maybe the life experiences. For me, it's more about having grace with, like, why do they believe? Let's find
Mm.
out why they believe what they believe, right?
Yeah.
Let's get to like the core of it. And from there, and like talk to them, like have grace for them. And
Yeah.
maybe there will be conversation or understanding. But the
Mhm.
Mhm.
second that you put up that wall and you tell them that they're wrong and that, all the
Right.
social media stuff,
Yeah.
good luck. Like, there's
Right.
no,
Mhm.
um, so, and again, I laugh
Yeah.
at this because this was me like 3 years ago. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think it's nice. It's like I feel like the further I get from it, I can like even with why am I blanking on Gaza and stuff? I feel like that's a more liberal sided like concern, but I fall on that side now.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then there's
It's
abortion
so
where it's like very ultra conservative, but I fall on that side.
literally, I had this conversation with someone the other day. I was like, I 100% like there's so
Mhm.
wrong what's happening. Why aren't conservatives like speaking out about this? But again,
Mhm.
is it because it's tied to,
It's
oh
their
my
side, so it's
goodness, they
fine.
support Israel no matter what? Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
come on. Like
Mm,
there's got to be some
yeah.
nuance here, right? Like they're people and
Mhm.
all people are made and you know, I don't need to
Yep.
hash
It
out.
is interesting because, like, our families, they fall on the side where they would support them, and, like, talking with my mom and stuff, it's like she's so, I'll talk to her about it, and I'm like, "They're, like, literally women and babies," and she's like, "It's
Mhm.
AI," like, she just thinks it's AI, and I'm like,
Mm,
"No, it's real," and it's
totally.
that's where you see it's like they're so blinded because their side wants it, so it's fine, and also, biblically, they wanted this to happen because they want the 3rd temple to
Mhm.
come, they want the rapture to come, and so it's like you were talking
Yeah.
about earlier, it's like it makes them okay to just let all these people die because it's gonna bring them their rapture, and it's like, that's really a sick mindset. You sit there and think about it, but they
Mhm.
don't
Which we were right
think
there
that
with
way.
them. I
Right,
mean, I
it's like,
never thought twice
I
about it a couple
never
years
did,
ago.
but
Yeah.
then coming out of it, you're like, "Wow, I realized, like, that's a really terrible way to think about
Mhm.
Oh,
things."
totally. Is it safe
Yeah.
to say that you guys believe that they are um creating their own end times right now?
Mhm.
I think so.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think the devil has the playbook and
Yep.
he's just
That's the way I see it.
doing it all over
Okay.
again.
I would say the same thing too. I just wanted to
Mhm.
um
Yeah, because like Jamie has pointed out a lot, it's like back then when they wrote Revelation, it's like they didn't have time to sit here and come up with all these ideas and like, let's make it happen. It just they
Mhm.
kind of
It
wrote it and it
happened naturally.
happened. But we're
Mhm.
like now they have exactly what's supposed to happen and they can make the Christians just string them along and keep them
Mhm.
waiting for this third temple. And it's like they're
Mhm.
just so willing, like, let these people die so that we can get our third temple. And
And
that's just
I think for
awful.
Alyssa, both of us, I think that's one of the things that kind of pushed us to look into this different eschatology because it's like since I've been born, it's this constant hamster wheel of all these
Hmm.
signs coming and going. But that wasn't Jesus's heart when he was telling them what was going to come. He wasn't like, I'm going to keep you guessing and just living on this, tiresome hamster wheel. It's like that wasn't his goal.
Hmm.
And then like if you actually look back at like historical documents, like the things that he said would come to pass, they came to pass within that generation. I mean, even just like even this one example is like when he says wars and rumors of wars, like our whole life we've had that. But during that time, they had the Pax Romana in place, like when Jesus was born and everything. And then after he ascended, that's when all these wars and things were starting to come about. So it's like you see it happening like immediately after he ascends to heaven. And it's just like for me, I can't get past like I just don't think that's Jesus's heart to keep us all waiting and questioning and like, oh, it already passed. So then you're disheartened. Like that's not his
Hmm.
heart. That's not the heart of the Father. So
yeah.
it makes it hard
Yeah. And
to see that way.
like it's one of those things kind of like we said like with the algorithm there's a case for everything, right? So it's like I
Mhm.
Hmm.
understand in some ways
Yeah.
why,
Mhm.
why
Hmm.
people believe different
Yeah,
routes,
and we're all
but
yeah, whatever you like is what you're seeing,
Mhm.
I
yeah, and
don't
they know
Yeah.
exactly what they're doing. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
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 And most of my friends here, to be honest, I actually don't even have these conversations with them as
Yeah.
well. I have I haven't gone down the little season theory. I haven't
Mhm.
gone down
Mm.
that route. It's like I said, it's a touchy subject.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
is.
And especially actually our Bible study just went through like Revelations with
Mm.
I don't even know who it was, but it was definitely not this view.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've kind of studied the different ones, and I will say I need to I guess I'm just kind of at a point where I just don't know, and I think sometimes, like, it's
Mhm.
okay to say sometimes we feel like we
Oh,
have to have
yeah.
everything figured out, like, I don't know,
Yep.
Yeah.
but, I do know that I do know that it makes a lot of sense of them creating their own end times. Like,
Mhm.
that to me, like, when I really sit down and think about a lot of the things that are playing out
Mhm.
and how much deception is having, like, that makes sense to me.
Mhm.
And it's funny because so many people will be like, well where, why does that make like, when I try to talk, when try to have conversations with people about things and they're like, well, send me a document. And I'm like, gosh, guys, you guys have been studying this stuff for like 4 to 5 years. I don't even know, like, where do I
Mhm.
start? Like, start
Mhm.
on this stuff. And so much of is critical thinking, and it's not just
Mhm.
like this right here, right? Because as you guys know, like revelations can be interpreted how many different ways,
Mhm.
Right.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
um, yeah. So again, I understand, but it's a lot of it is kind of like, oh, just some of it just doesn't sit well. Some of it just doesn't,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
that kind of have to go with that mindset. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
definitely I've talked to some people about it and they're like really open to it, and I've talked to other people that are like so angry. Like
Mhm.
yeah,
yes,
just angry, and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
I think the longer I've believed that we aren't in, like, rapture mindset,
Dispensationalists, yeah.
it's easier for me to just, like, I feel like I'm starting to care less. I think when you grow up in the church, and Alyssa and I also grew up in a Christian school, so it was just, like,
good.
so hammered into us that I was so fearful when I first told Alyssa this, I literally, like, went back and forth with, like, "Should I even say this to her, or is she
Yeah,
gonna, like,
how
not
she'd
wanna talk
react.
to me anymore?"
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about, like, conspiracies before, but this one is, like, it affects
It's
your
big.
faith, so it's very
It
different.
affects a
Yeah,
lot. It does. It changes the way
it
you think
does.
about everything, honestly.
Mhm.
Absolutely. It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah,
So
and that's whether you're little season or I mean, the thing is we didn't even know there was post-mill. We didn't know there was preterism, partial
Mhm.
preterism, and
Right.
we grew up in a Christian school, so it's like that's what kinda even made
yes,
me
oh
question
my
further
god,
was like, why
I
am I growing up in a
thought
Christian school and church and not hearing this?
I thought the exact same thing. Like,
Yeah.
I did not realize that within the Christian religion, there really are so many different views.
Mhm.
It's crazy,
Yet, I
and
mean,
you're
I
not
will say
taught them.
evangelical, that is more the mainstream, right? I feel like that's
Yes.
Mhm.
most,
Yeah, for sure.
which
Yes.
is why, but then there's so many different views on when the rapture would happen and all that. So,
Mhm. I was just gonna say, I think for me, it's like when I see like, if you've seen Kirk Cameron, I don't know if you grew up reading the Left Behind series and
Or
stuff and
watching the
watching the movies,
movies.
but
mm-mm.
Oh, you
I
didn't?
love Kirk.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Well, I love Kirk Cameron, and he's like the face of it. But then there's
Yeah.
also a pastor out where I live. His name's Chuck Baldwin, and he was very dispensational. And so is this other pastor, Bob Utley. So we've talked about the three of these people. They're very hardcore, like
Mhm.
dispensationalists, and they've since studying like changed their thought process. And they don't all fall in little season; they're all like kind of all over the place.
Mhm.
But I just see, like, when I saw all 3 of them who've been on the pulpit, who've been in, like, the media, and they're changing their view knowing they're gonna get criticized.
Mhm.
For me, even that's a big thing of just like, okay, that takes a lot of humility because people are not gonna be happy with you, and they're gonna talk I mean, even Kirk Cameron's talked about his ideas of hell and not even choosing a side, just talking about it, and people are
That's
bashing
it.
him, and it's just
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
and it's just like I just prefer, like, the side that is able to question and look into things. Even hell, that's a subject I never even knew there was other
Yeah.
options.
Yeah.
And so I just like the humility side, and I'd rather be with those kind of people where we're all talking and just going over scripture than "You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong," you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I'd rather be open minded and hear it, like I said, because it's either gonna one, confirm what you believe, or two, open
Mhm.
your mind to, wow, maybe what I believe actually isn't true. And are you so much of it comes down to, are you emotionally
Mm.
mature, emotionally aware, emotionally stable enough to change your mind? I mean, that's a lot of it,
Mhm.
guys, um is pride. People have a
Yeah.
hard
Absolutely.
time admitting
Yeah.
they're wrong. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm with you. When people admit that they're wrong, like, to me, that is speaks volumes about their character, because
Mhm.
Mhm.
especially something that big, right? That um,
Mhm.
affects a lot, and you are naturally going to get a lot of criticism.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I'm very, like, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm very, like, open and honest. Like, to me, that's just been always something that, like, I value that a lot. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, it's
I
So
mean, how do you handle that? Because as an influencer, you have a lot of people who follow you and you have shifted your ideas and thoughts on things
Mhm.
pretty publicly. Like, how has that affected you?
I joke because, like I said, in 2020, I lost a huge crowd when I took a huge stance on BLM.
I heard,
Mhm.
yeah.
And then I was like, hold up. I'm actually ultra conservative and Trump's going to save the world.
Yeah.
So then I lost that crowd and gained a new
Uh-huh.
crowd. And now
Mm.
I'm like, hold up. These people are wrong. You guys, it's just like I've lost so many people, but I can't not be true to me. And I
Yeah.
also
Mm,
feel like it's my like it's my journey, it's my testimony, like it's
Mhm.
my I can honestly say that I've never felt so much more at peace, even though
mm,
knowing this is the irony of it all, is even though knowing the depths of this sounds so negative to say, but just how bad things really are. Like, I
mm,
mean, they're bad. If you really know there's
Mhm.
that what's happening is not good.
Right.
And
yeah.
um but I've never had so much peace and I've never had so much
Mm,
hope. And I think that that speaks volumes, to
Yeah.
where I was at and my mentality and what I thought and what I talked about
mhm,
and all this stuff. It actually like consumed me. Like I'm so much more
Mhm.
healthier as a person. And I think that if you've been with me from the beginning, which maybe a couple hundred, no, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I've lost and gained a lot along the way, but for those that have been with me, I think that they see my heart and know that I've
mm,
just been honest. I obviously haven't gotten it right, but I've worn my heart on my sleeve and I've tried to be as open and honest. And people can say a lot of things about me, but I think one thing they can't say is that I'm not open-minded because
mm,
I'm willing to hear any side, and I'm willing to, at this point, just have grace for people that don't think like me.
mhm.
That's exactly what
Yeah,
Jesus modeled. Um,
yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
and so I actually don't hear a lot anymore. I think the people that have issues with me have left.
Yeah.
Mm,
Block people very much anymore. I used to get a lot in my DMs, but I don't. I
Mhm.
think a lot of them have left just because they're like, okay, she is who she is. She's not changing. Um,
yeah.
but people know things are crazy, and I think that they're looking for um some insight, some hope, and that's why I'm trying to
Yeah.
share the balance. As you guys
Mhm.
probably know, trying to share the balance of the truth of what's happening and hope is kind of a hard thing, right? It's tricky because
Mhm,
there's
Right.
obviously there's always hope in Jesus. Obviously there's always
Mhm.
hope in the end game and
yeah.
we know how it ends. But talking about the reality of things it's a lot on people. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
and I'm sure you guys have too. I've worked through those emotions. I've worked through the fact that our government isn't here to save us. I've
Mhm.
worked through the fact that it goes way deeper spiritually than the things that are happening to babies and children, way worse than
Mhm,
anybody can. I mean, you guys know it's
Yeah.
unfathomable, right? And so I've
Mhm.
worked through
yeah.
a lot of that. And so I think I've grown a lot as far as like you guys said, the news. It's like I've heard it all. Like I know. Um,
Mhm,
so I'm a lot better emotionally, and healthier. It's just how to convey that to people and not, um, bring more hope versus
mhm,
despair, yet what's
Yeah.
mhm.
happening is a lot of despair.
It
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
So,
yeah,
feels like a lot
yeah,
of despair, if that makes sense.
yeah.
I feel like though, even with like what you're talking about, like all the stuff with the Epstein files and stuff, it's just interesting because you're seeing how they are ultimately sacrificing to Baal. And it's like literally we're just reliving the Bible. And I feel like it all just points to Jesus, you know? Like I think for
Mhm,
non-believers, like they could see like this is what they're doing and
mhm.
what is this about? This happened in the Bible. And so you can kind of like bring that into conversation and bring them to
Yeah,
Jesus
Yeah,
through it, you
and I'm
know?
sure
yeah.
you guys know, like, how many people have come to know Jesus the past
Mm,
couple years. I mean,
Mhm,
people are searching now more than ever, and
mhm,
yeah.
amazing. And even in
mhm.
my conversations and my DMs with people, I've had so many conversations with people, thank you for sharing this. And, I've come to know like just their personal stories with me that I've
Yeah.
shared.
Mhm,
I'm just hearing that personally. I know this has got to be happening on a
Oh, yeah.
national worldwide level. So
Right.
Yeah.
what they meant for evil, the Lord will turn it for
Mhm. Definitely. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you've reiterated is like, I think in the truther community, it's kind of hard because it's like you go from one extreme to the next, and you're learning all these things, and then you're deep into the truther community, but there isn't a lot of grace in the truther community,
Yeah.
and I
Mhm.
think it's like hard because now that I am far removed from the news and I don't feel emotionally attached. I do find myself still even like having a hard time even with my parents when they bring it up. I'm just kind of like annoyed, and it's like I was once there, like, where's that grace? And it's just
Mhm.
like it's just a good reminder because it's like
Yes.
that isn't how Jesus would be, like, we don't know everything. We might have he has been gracious enough to us to, like, reveal things to us, but I don't know everything, not even close,
Yeah.
so it's, like,
Mhm.
Totally.
such a good reminder.
Totally. Like for how, much we're speaking today about how we've come to learn this and that, how much more do we know
Mhm.
I
I
know.
know.
the Lord is?
It's wild to think
That's
about.
where I,
Yeah.
I go back to God. The Lord is so much more gracious, I think, than we can even
Mhm.
fathom. And He has to be with how many people I feel like are being deceived. He has to be.
Mhm.
He knows our hearts,
Mhm.
He knows our intentions, but gosh,
Yeah.
they know that small deception that they're using,
Mhm.
to deceive people right now.
Mhm.
So, but the Lord sees our hearts.
Yeah. Mhm.
I think I wanted to share your post, but I think we covered everything in your post. Really. I
What post
mean,
was that?
you posted there's a couple slides on it, but you're posting about we won't say her name because you didn't put
Oh
it
yeah.
on there either, but somebody tweeted they tweeted on the conservative side something to make the other side upset, which we're noticing a lot. This is one of the things with Alyssa when the Charlie Kirk stuff first started happening. Alyssa more believed some of the storyline at first
Okay.
because
Yeah.
Erica Kirk. But when I heard Erica Kirk get up on stage, I didn't even watch the whole
Okay,
memorial,
I
just
wanna
bits
say
and
I did
pieces.
not believe the shooter, okay? I
No, you
just
didn't. No, no,
wanted
no.
to
But
be
you
on Erica
trusted.
Kirk's side because I
You
felt
did,
so sad for
Listen,
her.
which was
judgment.
kind.
I have you're fine. I have no judgment. I have grace for everyone. It's okay. You're
Thank
good.
you so much.
And I was just telling her, because like we both watched clips of it, and I was just like, instantly, like the first thing I heard her say at the memorial was basically like, look how our side does it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we're not throwing riots and whatever. And so for me, that was immediately it was a red flag. I was like, this is just the political game all over again, where it's just like any way we can put the other side down. And it's like
Mhm.
when you start seeing Christian like influencer type
Yeah.
people doing the same, it is so like you said, it's just like that's not the goal. The goal isn't for us to be right. And it's not for us to be Christian nationalists. The goal
Mhm.
is for us to reflect Christ.
Yeah.
And it's
Mhm.
like,
And that's us.
how much do we all lose? Yeah, we
Yeah.
all like, and we've all been there, there's, it's so
Christian
hard as an
nationalists.
American. Yeah.
The Christian
Like
nationalists
you
is
grow up just
the
thinking
hard
that.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
It's
hard one.
very hard.
And I was
It's so
Mhm.
blurred.
it
Yeah.
is so blurred.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. I got a lot of hate actually when that happened because I did not fall
Mm,
for it the second that it happened.
mm,
Mhm.
And I didn't say. And I specifically remember what I said, and like like again, everybody has their own journey. Everybody's at different points on what they're thinking.
mm-hmm.
Here's the thing, though, with something like that, is it gets people emotionally involved, and
Mm-hmm.
when they
That's
have
the whole
more
Mhm.
point.
emotions, you are not thinking clearly. You aren't.
Yep.
Mhm.
You simply are.
Mm-hmm.
Not. I've been there. I've done that. I've seen it. I see it in other people, and when that guard so it's like for me, if I ever speak to something going on, I always try to wait at least a couple days just because it's so heightened. And I already know people
Mm,
are waiting for me
mm-hmm.
to share my views and share. And number one, I'm already over that. Like, you have to share, like I'm done with
Yeah.
it.
I
Okay.
was gonna say that's gotta be hard as an
Oh my God.
influencer where people
Right.
like are forcing you to say stuff.
So that was
Isn't
actually
like
the first thing that I posted because someone messaged me and said, for such a time as this, to be silent, huh? And I was like, oh man, like, are we really doing this again? And so
mm,
I just said, guys, let's flip this for a second. I understand from your perspective, okay, because I'm not thinking the same thing that they're thinking. I understand from your
mm-hmm.
perspective where you're hurting and why you're in pain and why your emotions are involved. But you're doing the exact same thing that the left did to the right in
Mhm.
2020
Mm-hmm.
without you
Yep.
Mhm.
realizing it. And they, again, at that point, when their emotions are involved, probably couldn't see clearly. That's why
Mm-hmm.
it's so much better to wait till, everything is calmed down a little bit.
For sure.
Not to mention, there's so much information that always surfaces later, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
like the Erica Kirk thing, same thing. I mean, for me, I just, there's red flags all over that girl, all over. I mean,
And we
Yes.
tried very hard to give the
We
benefit of the
tried
doubt,
so hard.
like, and
because I did. I was like, she's
Yeah.
still a child of, I mean, like the Lord created her. So I still was like, okay, God, I know all my conspiracy thoughts going on.
There's way
Please
too
give
many
me
lies
grace
going on.
because
So
yeah.
let's go down the conspiracy hole on that one. Okay. I'm gonna go. Let's see where you guys are on this. So people like Erica, I believe, are groomed from are born in bloodlines. I believe that some of
1000%.
Erica was born into this family.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
believe that Erica was groomed for this specific role
Mhm.
and has been trained. Have you guys
Not well, obviously.
worked on our acting skills a little bit?
Just
Yeah.
a little.
Um, but I mean, you guys are aware of a lot of this, right? Like how a lot of this works.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
I'm
okay, okay,
100% with
okay,
you.
okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Um, so with that said, I when you say she's a child God, I agree with that. I also have a really I'm gonna take it one step further. There is a podcast that I listened to that I actually think I shared yesterday where I believe, see, this is taking it really deep, guys. And I don't know exactly what I fully believe on this, but I wonder if there is an element to a lot of these people that are either they don't even know because they train them so much to the point where if you guys MK Ultra like train them so much to the
Mhm.
point where they're just like on
They're a machine
yeah,
basically.
Yeah.
right. So like
Mhm.
they hear something or they see something, right? So it's almost like it's not even
Mhm.
her if you really want to
Mhm.
get down to it, right? Because she's been
Yeah.
Mhm.
trained, she's been functioned that way. Her brain is
Yeah.
functioning
Yeah.
according to whatever they've you know, have done
Mhm.
to her, and or
Mhm.
programmed her to be. And so there's that element. So I have
Mm.
this sounds so crazy. So in a sense, it's like I have grace for her in a sense because I don't feel like it's really her. Not to mention she was born into this
Mm.
family.
Mm.
Right.
I
Yeah.
shared. Okay, I sorry, I'm like all over the place. I shared.
No, you're
Yeah.
fine. These are
I'm
exactly where my thoughts go, so it's good.
I'm an empath. So like I have
Same.
totally ultra grace for people.
Mhm.
So I shared a reel the other day that was like a serial killer is like running after me. And but I'm an empath, so all of a sudden she like turns around and kind of like goes towards him like, so what trauma do you have in your life that made you this way? Like, do you guys get it? It's like you can use
Yeah,
the words
totally.
or whatever,
Absolutely.
but like what made you that
What
I'm the
got you
same
here?
exact way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
there has like if we can get to the root cause, like I know you're a good person, like because God made like you
Mhm.
said, God made all of us in his image. Like we are
Mhm.
all
Mhm.
made in his image. And so there's like an element to like all this that just, I mean, I could talk about so many different facets of it. Like she's born into it, right? So she doesn't have a
Mhm.
choice. She's programmed to to operate this way. This is all
Mhm.
allegedly, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
thirdly, is there a demonic,
Mhm.
element to it that
Mm.
she's being
Yeah.
controlled
Yeah.
from a spiritual standpoint? So
I was gonna say I feel like there is, like I said, my mind's just like yours. I
yeah,
don't doubt any way it could be,
yeah,
and there is
Mhm.
like the element of I do think there are possible like Nephilim
yes,
hybrid things
yes,
going on still. So I do think it is possible that she is not fully human, and in that case, and I've always wondered this with Nephilim, how does that work
yeah,
as far as like our souls? So I'm
yeah.
totally with you.
Okay,
I
okay.
think that could be. Hmm.
So I don't know why I said that, but because I'm not like it's not like I'm like it's this weird tension, right? Of being like, of
Hmm.
course I don't support her. I
Hmm.
know that she is a part of the system, but at the same time,
Hmm.
God created her in his image, yet and she didn't have a choice for what you know what I mean? Like you could go so many
Yeah,
different routes on this.
I think about
totally.
this too. This is not about Erica Kirk, but even when I watch like Dateline or something, and
Yeah.
it's like showing an interview with the killer, I'm like the same. Like, I feel so sad for them because I'm like, they were a normal person,
Right.
and then
Mhm.
something happened, and now like they're just
It's
possessed.
Well, I
trauma.
mean,
It's
yeah, even going
trauma.
down the serial killer route, I think there's a lot of MK
Yeah,
Ultra things happening
and
as
it
well.
it makes
Absolutely.
me really sad. Yeah, I know. I have
Mhm.
like I have a family member, and she was normal. Got After
Mm.
she had baby, she had postpartum psychosis, and she's in mental institution at this point, and it's like, she's only a little bit older than me, and it's like, you have to spend the rest of your life this way, and you
Mhm.
were normal, so it's like, it just breaks my heart, like, I think about that kinda stuff
Yeah.
all the time,
Right.
Mm.
Like, what made you
yeah,
this way? Because this is not how God made us, right?
Mm.
exactly.
Except
Yeah.
for when you say the Nephilim agenda. Those are people,
Mhm.
right? Those are hybrids.
Mhm.
But to
Mhm.
what extent? I don't know. To what
Yeah.
extent that
Yeah.
exists and how that operates here.
Yep.
I do
It
believe in it.
Uh-huh.
I just don't
don't
know.
know how exactly it works. Yeah, that's exactly. And that's why I think I tend to be, Alyssa knows this. I'm more of like, I question everything maybe almost too much sometimes. And so when the whole Charlie Kirk, mind you, I didn't listen to Charlie Kirk before. I didn't really know the face or anything. So emotionally, like I really was detached all the way around. But when somebody lost their husband, I was like, I literally was praying like, Lord, my first thought is she's in on it. But I'm like, Lord,
Really? Right away?
I don't, well, I just like listening to her talk the first time. I was like, there's
Yeah,
no
like
way.
when she did the speech on
Yeah, it
on
wasn't
her
like
podcast.
immediately when I
Okay.
watched him, but
Yeah.
like my question, I had so many questions from the second I saw the video, but my heart was like, I feel like God's grown me so much in the past 2 years that I was like, okay, I don't want to be that negative truther that just turns everything into just
A
something like I
conspiracy.
wanted. So I was like praying that he give me grace for her, but as it went on, it was just like
Too many things.
yeah, there's just too many things.
Well, if you guys really want to know what I think, I don't even know.
We're here for it.
I don't
We're
even know if you
here.
judge.
We don't judge either.
No.
And if you say anything that you decide you don't want, like
Oh
people
no,
know
you're
we
fine.
could cut it too.
She's like, "I'll say it."
I don't. I know. I'm like, this is gonna be blasted to all my people that like I don't even like told them half this stuff. But oh well.
It's fine.
You know what? It's funny because like I shared something. Oh, it was a podcast that I shared yesterday, and someone messaged me, and she's like, "I already listened to this one, and I cannot believe." She's like, "I listened to it and thought there's no way that any influencer would ever share this, just because it's so out there." I was like,
Okay, I got to see what this is.
I
Is it
know, I
still
need to
up on
listen
your
now.
page? Let's see.
I'll send it to you guys. Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah,
send it.
send it to us.
have you guys heard of The Deep End by Taylor Welsh?
Mm-mm.
Okay,
No,
so
I
I
don't
he's
think
like
haven't.
so.
he actually goes to my church, but he's awesome. He touches
His name
very
sounds really familiar,
Taylor
but
Welsh.
yeah, it
Um,
sounds familiar.
he was actually like a really successful entrepreneur, or he is technically, and then but
Okay.
he's so smart and dives into stuff
Mhm.
that I'm like, man, I wish like this is the spiritual side that
Mm.
it's spiritual and all things conspiracies, but on like a spiritual everything goes
Okay.
Okay.
well.
Okay,
But
yeah.
I wish that not necessarily that churches would talk about this stuff from the pulpit, but that this was just more like, I'm like, believers don't know a lot of this stuff. And I wish
Mm.
it would just set
Mm-hmm.
so many people free or like be able to
Oh, yeah.
understand and like discern things. And, like there's just so much
We
that
Yeah.
I feel
talk about
like
this all the time.
believers don't know.
Yeah.
Um, okay, wait, back to what I was saying. Did you guys hear what I was
Yeah.
saying? I don't know if Charlie is dead.
I
Jamie's
don't,
on the
I'm
same
always like,
page.
it could be. I don't know.
Okay. I thought that wasn't too deep for you
I
guys.
mean, I've
No.
seen
That was
the videos of squibs.
when it first happened, that was my initial reaction. Charlie's
Oh,
dead.
Oh,
see,
really?
my initial was, I think because, and that's another thing that they did. Obviously, they blasted and made sure that that video of him was everywhere within minutes,
Mhm.
you know? So
Yep.
they traumatized you. I got
Yeah.
traumatized. I was so like, what the heck did I just see?
Yep.
But the
Mhm.
more I looked at, I feel like because of his hand gestures and stuff, I was immediate that it was real. But if you think on the deeper level of things, like Erica was trained for this, he was trained for this. I don't think that she was ever even pregnant. So if we go that far,
No, I don't think she was
that
ever
she wasn't
pregnant either.
pregnant, that then Charlie has to be in on it, right?
Right.
So
Oh,
He's not
that's
dead.
true. I always hold on to hope that I'm like, I just want Charlie to be good,
He's
but
not
that's a
done.
very good point.
I
He's not
mean,
done.
Yeah.
he's created this whole generation of people who are invested in politics again. So like he served his purpose.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
So
true.
Even
like,
they could kill him still, but
yeah, and they could, and it could be either way.
Yeah, that's true.
one of the things actually that they just was this yesterday, the podcast I shared yesterday? I can't remember, but I've listened to so many things where I've listened to, survivors that have been brought up in this MK Ultra or brought
Mm,
up in these bloodlines. And a lot of them have said similar things that they raise people specifically
mhm,
for whatever their role is, right? And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of these roles are actually to be heads of mega churches,
mm,
to be in the limelight
makes
in the
That
sense.
makes
Christian world. I
sense.
mean, you
Yeah.
guys,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't
Mhm,
that the way that the enemy would work? Why would he not
Mm-hmm.
attack the very thing
mhm.
that
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Which I
that's like
think
with
is
Erica Kirk. She throws around the word God, God, God all the
mhm,
time. And so people cannot question her. And then everybody's like, you can't go after her. She's a widow. And it's like,
mhm,
they did all this so intentionally so that you
mhm,
cannot question her.
Yeah.
And so that's where I was for so long. Like, I saw I watched Charlie's memorial. And when she said, I forgive the shooter, I instantly was like, she is lying because
that's
That's
she
your
does
that's
not believe
your
that.
that's your
Yes.
and right there. Yep.
And
I
so that's when it started switching, but I still felt like I can't talk about her. Like I still can't.
mm,
And now I'm just like, okay, this girl's lying
yeah.
left and right. So
Yeah.
Yeah, which
she's
is
fine.
I think that's kind of what gets me sometimes is and that's how you realize that the modern church is so lukewarm because so
Mhm.
many of these lukewarm Christians are like, this isn't wouldn't be happening. But like you said, why would that not be Satan's greatest plan is to
Mm-hmm.
deceive the church? Like he doesn't
Mm-hmm.
care if you don't believe in God already, he doesn't care about you. He wants
Such a
to
good
take
point.
those who
Yeah.
are already seeking Christ and take them away. And it's just like
Yeah.
if and that's kind of for me, I think I've just realized so much of like literally everything has to do with Christ.
Yeah.
And it's so easy in our, especially I think in America, to like compartmentalize it. I go to church and that's it. But it's like our whole life is spiritual. And I think the church doesn't want to look at it that way because it
Mm-hmm.
gets weird.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but we are supposed to be weird.
Yeah.
We're supposed
Mm-hmm.
to be set apart from the world. So it's like, it's just so sad because the church misses it the most where it's like,
We should see
this
it the
would,
most.
yeah, that
Yeah.
would, like you said, I think even some pastors are raised for the role of being a pastor to lead away. And
Mhm.
like people just think it's beyond, like God wouldn't allow that to happen in the
Yes, that's
church.
what
Yeah.
I have heard over and over again. It's like
Hmm.
giving the enemy too much power.
Mm-hmm.
And
But I think it's like if you have the Holy Spirit, it's not your pastor's job. It's not anybody else's job but your own to be praying with the Holy Spirit to reveal these things to you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
well,
obviously going to be, that's why there's wolves in sheep's clothing, you know?
Right.
exactly, exactly. And I just, at this point, I have heard way too many testimonies from people that aren't connected, that are like, have come out of it, that there's all a similar. I mean, well, MK Ultra isn't even a conspiracy theory. Like that was
I
technically
know.
bullshit, right? And like the 50s and 60s, they
Hmm.
just said that they stopped technically.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
like, okay, guys, so we can all agree now that it happened, right? Like that it
Yeah.
happened. So now you're just thinking that it stopped, and I'm just believing that it hasn't stopped, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I believe that there's an evil, way deeper evil agenda attached to it. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard for people to, like I said, to see things for as deep or as corrupt as they are. Um, and so I tend to not bring it up to like I love talking to you guys about it because you're open minded and like,
Right.
Mm,
I but like in like my everyday world, like I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm
yeah.
normal. I don't talk to like the strangers at
Yeah.
work about it or
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, all comes back to like kind of what I feel like the theme of this is like I don't think we should be just like word vomiting this all over people because there has to be that level of grace of
mm,
just like I don't want to weird people out from Christ, and if they're ready for it, they're ready for it, and you can get on that level. But it's like I think
well, and
we
one
just have to have grace for where people are at.
yeah, and one
Mm-hmm.
thing for me too, I have a really good friend here who, her and I have kind of had some discussions. We agree on a lot, but then we disagree on some. And her thing is like, the more that we go into these rabbit holes, the more that it can, which again, we go to the tree of knowledge, and that we aren't supposed to know everything. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think
Hmm.
we're supposed to know everything, but I
Hmm.
think that there's a
Right.
level of information that we have been
Awareness, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that we don't know that could actually help us understand and to discern and to see in these times more clearly, because I
Hmm.
feel like so many believers are actually blind and
Mm,
Mhm.
realize that. And so from her perspective, she's like, just focus on the good, not that what we don't know, because her thing is like, everything that you believe, like you'll never know for sure if it's true.
mm,
So why are you focusing on that? And like, you could be spending all of your time focusing on the truth and the word, right? And I feel like there's
Mhm.
like there has to be like some balance there too, because for me,
mhm,
like my testimony, I have never felt so alive and so close to the Lord than I have in these past, I guess, 6 years. It's been a journey, but now
mm,
today, um, and it's partly, I will say, is because I'm aware of how much
mm,
evil there is. And that, I don't know if that sounds twisted to say, but it's like it woke me up to the reality, you guys, of how
mhm.
real good and evil is. And I think
Yeah.
Mhm.
sometimes we as Christians, we as believers, we kind of throw that around because we've been told that our whole lives, and it's in the Bible, and there's evil, and
Mhm.
make sure you're not deceived from the pulpit. Like we just kind of throw it around like flippantly. But like
Yeah.
to like see evil like for what it is, to like really see it and to understand, like to see it in our world, like it's like happening, and to know what it is like,
Mhm.
no, this is like for real. Like this is a true
Mhm.
battle.
That's what I'm saying, like,
And like
I feel like it
that's
just makes the Bible feel more real
it
because it's
does.
Mhm.
like you're
I
seeing
do
all these
think
things are
though
still happening
the
today.
Lord knows what we each need, and I feel like for
Yeah.
me, like you're saying, like this has actually made me, I feel like more gracious and loving towards people. But I think for some people it wouldn't, and I think the Lord knows where people need to be to
Maybe.
like have that sanctification in
Yeah.
whatever areas they need. But I do think
I
there's an element
yeah.
of you need to know because Alyssa, you could tell the story if you want about your Bible study going through Genesis, and I think like even to this small of a thing within the church of like we don't want to talk about the weird truths, but if we
Yeah,
knew
she
about
started talking
Nephilim,
about
yeah, go for it.
she was talking about the flood, and right before that, she's, like, talking about Genesis 6, and she's like, "This part talks about the Nephilim, but we're not gonna get into that, like, you can do that on your own if you want to, like, we're just gonna skip that part," and it's like and so then I'm in my study, and we're talking about it, and everybody's kind of like, "I don't understand why God flooded the earth, but he's God, and that's okay," and I'm like, "But if we didn't skip this part about the Nephilim,
Mhm,
then this all would have made a lot more sense."
mhm.
So it's like, yeah, exactly that. I think the church just wants to skip all these things because
That are hard and
they're not
mhm,
normal, and they just want it to be like comfy and make everybody feel good. And it's like you're missing so much of the Bible because you don't want to understand these weird things because
Right.
they
mhm,
existed, they were real,
Right.
mhm,
you know?
Well, and I think understanding a lot of that really makes sense to a lot of what's happening today. Like to me, it all
mhm.
connects. And so for
Yes.
the
Yep.
people that aren't willing, that don't have this information, that don't know this, I feel like those are a lot of the people that are lost right now and that are like,
Mm,
what's
Yes.
happening? And I'm like, guys, this all makes sense. Like everything that's happening
mhm,
right now, like makes sense to me because I
Yeah.
mhm,
feel like because I'm aware and I was willing to
Mhm.
go there. But then at the same time, like I get what you're saying. Like, I don't know if it's maybe the way that I'm wired, like that I like needed that, to like
yeah,
Mhm.
the reassurance that I have in knowing my relationship with the Lord, like how close I am to him now, and just him
Mhm.
revealing himself to me through a yeah, it's kind of a bizarre way, but it was like an eye-opening, like, no, like
mm,
good and evil really exist. And like
yeah,
I think,
Mhm.
growing up as a believer, like I said, and even like the Western world, like Christianity can seem so like lukewarm and like, yeah, I'm a
mhm,
Christian, I believer, blah, blah, blah. But like
mhm,
really, like, are you walking with the Lord daily? Like these are things,
Mhm.
gosh, the Lord has like flipped my life like upside down. And I attribute some of that honestly to just all these things that we've talked about, everything that I've learned that I'm like, wow, this really is a truly a spiritual battle. And
mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
for
I
me,
mean,
it's
even down to
faith.
yeah, I mean, even down to Charlie Kirk, like you're saying, it all is spiritual because it's like some people are like, don't get into those conspiracies, don't listen to Candace Owens, don't take sides with Erica Kirk. And it's like that's a thing like we've talked about those, like when you can emotionally like distance yourself from it and just take
Yeah,
in the
just see it.
information,
Mhm.
you do realize like it's not that I'm going down this rabbit hole, and not that I haven't or don't like to sometimes, but it's really just to like to have your eyes aware of the spiritual things happening. And it's like, I think a lot of people just put slap conspiracy on things of just for Christians, especially like
Oh,
we don't
yeah.
need to go into that. But I think it, like you said, it does open up your eyes to that there really is God and there really is Satan.
Yeah. And I
Mhm.
think too, as I'm sure you guys are probably on the same page, like things are, I think I already said this actually, things are only going to enhance, right? Like
Mhm.
it's, and I think because of where we're at right now and things enhancing more and more and more and more, becoming more weird, like there are so many people that are just like, what is going on? That they're way more open to it.
I think
I
so
think
Mhm.
that
too.
might be
Mhm.
why I'm not getting as much hate, even though I share some like, you know,
Out there things. Mhm.
things that some people might be like, "You're crazy." Like, I think some people,
Yeah.
like, they don't even know what to believe anymore. Like, maybe she's right because this world is
Mhm.
crazy
Mhm.
right now. Like, what she's
Mhm.
saying is crazy, but this world is also crazy. So one
Yeah.
Mhm.
is right, but, you know, there's
Yeah.
Well, it's also funny because it's like I said some crazier things in 2020 and people thought I was crazy, but now it's being revealed
mm,
Mhm.
in real time now. And it's like, so if I'm saying crazy things now, if I was right then, I might be right now.
right. I
Yeah.
know, and it's so easy, right, for a lot of the conspiracy theorists to be like, "I tried telling you in 2020 that people were eating,
Mhm.
but now you
Yeah.
yourself
Yeah.
in," right? So,
Yeah. But like you
Mhm.
said, the grace for those who are,
yeah,
everybody's on their own
they are.
journey.
They
Mhm.
are, and that is what, like, thank the Lord that he's just changed my heart and not condemning them, right? And
Mm.
just
Mhm.
loving them and showing them that,
Yep.
um, yeah, there's just so much more fruit in that.
Mhm. Yeah, I think
Mhm.
I'm on the side now where it's like, "Okay, Lord, like, you've been so gracious to me to reveal things. Like, why? Why did you choose
Mm,
I
to be
know.
like, show
Mhm.
me so much?" Like, so,
yeah. Yeah.
but
Well,
yeah.
part of that is, like I said, I think a lot of it is emotional maturity too. You know, you
Mm,
don't have cognitive dissonance, and I could go down the whole, like,
mm,
psychological side of that because I've kinda studied that a bit too. Like, why? Like, why am I more, like, open-minded to
mm,
hard things than other people? And
mhm,
a lot of that is honestly, it's emotional, maturity. It's, you don't have cognitive dissonance. You're
mm,
not arrogant. You're humble
Right.
enough to admit that when you're wrong, and you have an open mind.
mm,
And there's a lot of like, there's a lot of
Mhm.
like emotional healthiness that has to be there, I think, in order for people to
mm,
do things.
Mhm.
And that's hard for a
yeah,
lot of people. If there's a lot of trauma, if there's a lot of deep ingrained beliefs, some people are just, easier to change their mind than others.
Mhm.
mm,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, is there anything else that you would like to add to end it off? Or just, like, tell if your audience, comes over here to listen, is there anything you wanna
yeah, they will.
say to them?
I'm not crazy.
I promise.
She's not. We're also right there, so
I
we're
know.
crazy
I'm not crazy. Jesus is real. He's the
too.
answer.
Mhm.
I know.
Yeah.
How do you wrap
Uh,
that up, right?
yeah, yeah.
Have an open mind and like seek the
Mm,
Lord, and he will change your life.
mhm, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, thank
Oh,
you so much,
I
Melissa.
know, I feel
This
like it was
was a
such a
really
good
good, yeah, I
conversation.
really
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
thanks,
I
Yeah.
really
guys. That was
appreciate
fun.
appreciate you taking the time
Yeah.
to
Thank
come
you
hang
so
out with
much.
us.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I'll definitely share. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
All
All
right.
right.
Well, goodbye,
Yeah,
everybody.
we'll see you later. Bye.